You pour everything you have into your work. You serve hard, you care deeply, and yet you wake up one morning feeling completely empty. The passion that used to drive you is gone, replaced by a heavy emotional paralysis. You haven't lost your skills or your purpose. You have crossed an invisible threshold. There is a specific line where our ambition and drive stop working for us and start actively rebelling against our own biology. Crashing into this state is rarely a sign that you don't care enough. It is a harsh, unavoidable physiological and psychological signal that you have pushed past your own sustainable design. This chart visualizes that invisible threshold. It illustrates the inverted U hypothesis, mapping the direct relationship between the stress we carry and our daily performance. On the far left side of the curve, you have too little stress. The result here isn't relaxation. It's a state called rust out. You feel bored, apathetic, and the productivity flatlines because there is no challenge to engage you. As challenge increases, you climb to the yellow peak. This is eustress, optimal healthy tension, where you do your best work. But immediately past that peak is a steep drop. If the stress continues without relief, you plunge into the red zone, toxic burnout, breakdown, and eventually physical illness. The question is, how do highly dedicated, intelligent people unwittingly walk right past that optimal peak and plummet into the red zone? While the curve shows that we crash, it doesn't reveal the specific trigger. To find that, we have to look past the physical schedule and examine a much heavier psychological weight, the burden of unfulfilled expectations. The historical account of the prophet Elijah provides a perfect case study. Elijah was the ultimate high achiever. He had just reached peak performance, leading a massive spiritual victory on Mount Carmel. But immediately after, he received a severe death threat from Queen Jezebel. He anticipated a sweeping national revival. Instead, he got a bounty on his head. That unfulfilled expectation caused an immediate physical and emotional collapse. Terrified and exhausted, Elijah fled deep into the wilderness. Cognitive psychology explains exactly what happened next. In rational emotive therapy, Albert Ellis identified a trap called Awfulizing. The Chinese term is糟糕至极. It is the irrational belief that a setback is a 100% unmitigated disaster. Sitting in the desert, Elijah pleaded for his life to end, claiming, "I am the only one left." He wasn't. There were thousands of others. But awfulizing severely distorts reality and completely isolates you from the truth. When reality fails to meet our rigid expectations, the mind exaggerates the threat. We cut ourselves off from logic, separate ourselves from our community, and spiral into despair. Once you are isolated in that psychological wilderness, a specific emotional toxin begins to drain whatever energy you have left: bitterness. This clinical observation notes that in medical practice, a fever indicates a biological infection. In the same way, a persistent attitude of complaining or murmuring is the behavioral fever that proves an underlying infection of bitterness. Burnout is a profound cognitive and spiritual infection. Untreated bitterness over things not going our way keeps us perpetually exhausted. Notice this highlighted analysis of the text. When Elijah was at his absolute lowest, God did not offer a theological correction or a motivational speech. The very first step in the remedy was entirely physical. He provided a long sleep and a hot meal. Rebuilding a damaged nervous system starts with the body. Modern data confirms that aerobic exercise and consistent sleep are mandatory physiological requirements for flushing stress hormones out of your bloodstream. This is an archival photo of Roger Bannister crossing the finish line to break the 4-minute mile. Recognizing and training our physical limits is the foundation of mental endurance. When we condition the body, we break through the perceived boundaries of the mind. You cannot spiritualize away physical exhaustion. True recovery demands that we humbly tend to the biology of our bodies first. The second half of the remedy involved pulling Elijah out of his isolation. He was given a peer, a friend, and a successor named Elisha. He was forced to share the load. This diagram illustrates the oscillation theory. Sustainable living requires a constant back and forth motion. The left side is intradependence. This is the high-pressure mode where you rely on your internal resources. You are the autonomous leader, the provider, the one in charge. But the required counterstate is extra dependence. You have to step out of your role entirely. You accept grace, you play, you take a Sabbath, and you allow a resource outside of yourself to care for you. True recovery from burnout requires a lifestyle of rhythmic oscillation. We must embrace the limits of our physical bodies, reject the poison of bitterness, and accept the grace that we are allowed to rest.